If you would, please stand with me for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Oh, first thing would be public comment. Anybody would like to do any comments?
I would.
Okay, Ken?
Thank you, Commissioners. Before you approve the agenda, I'd suggest that you postpone the old business item B until your executive session with your attorney, which is item D. One item that you'll want to discuss is this memorandum of agreement that I have. I'm going to share with you after. It was drafted in July of 2022. Mr. Coppola failed to sign it, and as far as I can tell, he never shared it with you at any public meeting. I have several other documents that I'll share with you when you schedule your executive session. I'd like to comment on the executive director's report. I see another thing that Mr. Coppola did was sign a blanket contract with Northwest Water. And Mr. Merrill finds that it's near, quote, a blank check. And he wants your approval to revoke that contract. These are the same words that I used last meeting when I talked about the RCO authorized representatives and agents. I think you need to revoke that authorization as well. Regarding the Sweetwater cleanup, I attended it and I sent you all an email, and I would encourage you to give me a call to discuss my side of the story. I did message with both Commissioner Scott and with your executive director regarding the wind event that happened, and neither of you returned my call. Mr. Merrill is asking your approval tonight to work with the DNR to fall trees on the Sweetwater property. If that happens, I would like to help identify and provide a safe working area and operation. The blocks got moved, and that opened up the parking lot, and it exposes the public and vehicles to a couple trees that were identified by your port's arborist. These should be the first priority of trees to be removed. I would suggest you use the road as much as possible for a trail and forget about building new trails. You might want to construct with Mr. Rick Krieger. I believe he paid for a survey using the old road bed rather than a steep switchback trails at my suggestion. This was several years ago. Regarding the Department of Ecology site, Mr. Merrill texted Commissioner Netherland during the Board of County Commissioner briefing on April 15th that removing the site from the Department of Ecology list was the first priority for the Schindelheim property. When did the Port Commission discuss that and make that decision? The reason the port property remains on the Department of Ecology list is that the remedial actions taken by the Hood Canal Salmon Enhancement Group's engineer were deemed insufficient. They were given the opportunity to renew that voluntary cleanup program, but it was terminated because of dormancy and lack of correspondence. Basically, they sold the property back to Jack Johnson, and the Salmon Center was moved to a new location. I would suggest that you partner on the voluntary cleanup program with the new property owners of that former Salmon Center property. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
And here's a copy of that memorandum of agreement for all of you.
Thank you. Okay, next is for the approval of the agenda, and we have some, oh, thanks. I'm sorry, Phil, I missed it. Hi, Phil.
Yeah, no, I got my hand elevated, so.
Hi, Phil.
Yeah, so Phil Wolf here, Allyn. I'm also a member of the Case Inlet Fisheries Task Force. And we've got a lot of good things in play, and we need a representative from the Port of Allyn. Ted Jackson was, I believe was a representative from the Port of Allyn, and we're actually going to put a fish enclosure pen in at Fair Harbor Marina, and we're looking at other projects. Also partnering with the North Mason School District to help raise fish and do other things. So it would be good to have a representative. So that's.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, how are you? Good, thank you.
Sorry I came in late. I had just a couple of comments on the security report that was submitted in last week's meeting. Can I do that now at this public comment period?
You can, sure.
Could I do that?
Yeah, if you would stand at the podium, please.
Sorry, I've been dealing with allergies.
Uh-oh.
That's okay. It's that time of year.
It is. It's been good tree pollen. I just need to pull up the report here. I had just a couple of verifications and maybe some corrections on that. This is a report that was submitted, it says March 2024 Security Incident Report that I believe Travis had put together. Most everything in here is pretty accurate. I just wanted some clarification on my end why the raft was there for so long. First, when Travis had contacted me in December of 2023, we were gone on vacation, and then we had Christmas and we're gone again. So I didn't come back until mid-January. At the time, I didn't even know that the float had broken away. I didn't know it was mine until we came home. But then I ran into Travis at Safeway in January, and I said, my boat motor was stolen, and I don't have access to a boat right now, and my wife is having surgery. Is it going to be a problem if it stays here for a little longer? And he said, no, it's no problem, no problem. And that was one of the clarifications in here. It doesn't look like it has some of the corresponding communications back with Travis and I. It's probably just an oversight. The biggest thing I wanted to say was, thank you for tying it up, right? Like, I was gone, piece of private property floated away, and you guys tied it up for me. In the interim, after January, I was asked to go in and help the town of Tahuya go and remove all this illegal all illegal flooded material that was adjudicated against DNR on. And so I was gone for 6 weeks during that time period when I was supposed to be removing the raft. And we were working our butts off, like dark hours, everything. You go down there and look, we moved over 7,000 yards of material out of the creek. And I donated over $100,000 of actual billable time to that project for the community. And the community doesn't even know that yet. Oh, wow. So I gave a bid proposal back in 2022 for the excavation of that material. And just to put it in perspective, actually I donated way more than that. It was based on a quantity increase. As every 500 yards of material would be dredged, the price got more expensive to dredge because it got harder to get the material out. As you're going from, North Shore Road down to the mouth, the middle section was the most expensive. So at the highest peak in there, I had a price of 65,000 yards. Well, I moved 7,000 yards. So if you do the math on that, my price was not even nearly what the price that I could have charged the community and the successful people there. So I donated a lot of the time, and I wasn't here, which I was getting at too. Okay. What was unfortunate during that time period is I had a conversation with Travis on March 2nd, I believe it was, March 2nd or 3rd, that I would be coming down. He said, Earl, we really need to get this dock moving. I said, yes, you're right. Let's get it out of there. I'm trying to line up a boat. Can you give me to the 14th? And he said, absolutely. The 14th will be fine. It's still March. There's not a lot of activity out there. So we'll go ahead and give that date. It was 3 or 4 days later, the float was gone. So it became untied off of the Port of Allyn property. And I called Travis up and I said, did you guys undo the raft? I haven't had time to come get it. I'm still working on this levee project, or this dredging project. And he says, no, I don't know. I'll talk to Don. So he talked to Don. They just said it came untied and floated away. So I didn't put too much into it. I just felt bad. I was kind of like, it's kind of interesting that that happened, but I'll let it, whatever. Well, 6 days later, I see the neighbor next to the port cutting it up, salvaging all the wood off of it. And so I go over and I talk to the neighbor and I go, excuse me, what's going on? That's my float. He's like, I wish you would have told me a month ago, before it was given to me. And so I asked him what and how he got the float. And he specifically told me, and I have it on recording, that Don untied the float and gave him the float because it was sitting there for so long. So that's a discrepancy that's not in the report.
Okay.
So I just want to let you know. But what I did also tell Travis, instead of making a big stink about a $7,000 or $8,000 float, which that's the replacement cost for it, is I would like the Port of Allyn to put on the agenda repairing the fence between my property and the port because it's so decapitating. I had to pick up another hypodermic needle in the last 2 months that was flown over the fence. And I asked about the cameras. It's like, can we catch shoes here? Apparently, the cameras don't work. So I'd like to see why the cameras don't work. My family's being impeded with it. I don't care about the floats so much. I really appreciate Travis. He's doing a good job in his position.
Your family's being what with it? Sorry.
We're being impeded with the parking lot without the cameras there. People are doing bad things. And when the cameras were up and running, it really cleared the nuisance. But the biggest thing is that fence needs to be replaced. It's probably 40 or 50 years old. Not only that, but the parking lot has been filled since that fence was placed, so the fence sits 18 inches to 2 feet lower than the parking lot. So it doesn't take much to throw anything over, a fence. If it was higher or filled in and then rebuilt, that would be something. So I'd like to work with the port on that. And I'm not saying we need to do it today or tomorrow, but I would like to have it on the agenda. I wasn't gonna come until I saw your agenda for today about all, the repairs to your dock here and everything else. So if you could include our fence line as part of an agenda item to get repaired, I'd really appreciate it.
Sounds good.
And that's all I have, so.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't need to.
That's all right. You got the floor.
No, it's all right.
Okay.
I'll just say that I don't like the conflicting stories that I got between Don and the neighbor on the float, right? Or I didn't even talk to Don. I guess it was Travis contacting Don and then Don telling Travis and Travis telling me, but I have the recording on my phone that Sean specifically said Don untied the raft and gave him the float. And that's not in your report. It just miraculously floated away to Sean's property. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else?
I'll wait till the end.
Okay.
What's that?
He said he'll wait till the end.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else on Zoom that I'm missing? No? Okay, we're going to do the approval of the agenda, but we have a few items to add. And some of those items are, this is in the consent agenda, and this is in regard to the coding correction on the treasury transfers. Do I need to read those out, or are those in here? Those are already in here,
Those are
correct?
already in here, correct.
Okay, so those are already in there to discuss.
I can just explain it really fast.
Sure.
The treasury transfer on 429, the general fund and water fund are juxtaposed.
Okay,
They should be that the general fund had $6,395.27.
Yep.
And the water fund only had $400.80.
okay, great, thank you. Next item would be the financial position report.
Consent agendas.
Oh, yes. Well, is there
Okay,
several things in this that we need to add to?
Nope.
Nope, just
You're
that?
good there as long as you consent to those items and pass them.
Okay,
Or not, correct.
well, that would be the change. So with that correction, and let me see, was there another? Okay, I think we're all good with that. I know that Ken requested about not having discussion on Sweetwater, but I think we need to talk a little bit about that. I'd like to keep that on if that's okay with the board. Any other thoughts or any other changes, gentlemen?
No, I'm good with your suggestion.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Okay, moving right along. The consent agenda items. Do I hear a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes and special meeting minutes and general fund and water fund vouchers? Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, okay, I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes for April 1st, 2024, and the special meeting minutes of April 11th, 2024. Start with that.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Next item, ratification of April fund transfers.
Yeah, okay, so what was
That's part of the consent agenda items.
Well,
Okay.
see, that's where we could have just approved the consent agenda. We do that at the Transit Authority Board. It's like, oh, a light went on. Okay, but I'll go ahead and since I already broke it up, and I probably should have just done it the other way, make a motion to approve the ratification of April fund transfers from Kitsap Bank County Treasurer. Wait a minute. What,
It's the ratification of the April fund transfers, that's all you really need to say, because the rest is posted and,
Yeah,
because
so-
that was the
yeah,
only
because
part
this
we
is
need
already
to.
done.
Yeah,
So the ratification April fund transfer Kitsap Bank to Mason County Treasurer as is addressed here in these regular meeting minutes.
just a motion to
Meeting
approve.
minute, a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, now the financial position report. Do I hear a motion to approve? General fund vouchers, payroll vouchers, water fund vouchers, general obligation bond, and capital funds project? That's separate.
Yeah, that's a separate resolution.
Yeah,
Um,
okay,
You will have to, I can explain that if you like.
okay. So it's A, B, C, and D.
And then on the additional draft agenda items that you approved, there will be D and F
Okay.
that had got added today.
Oh, okay,
So you have the 2022 general obligation bond transfer, which is a bill, our second payment for the year. Or actually, it's our first payment for the year, because we'll have another one in December. That's the 2022 general obligation bond is $22,426.07. And then E is the redemption, just making you aware of the redemption of the registered warrants that we
Yes.
took last month,
yep,
showing you the two amounts and that they're
Okay.
paid in full.
All right.
excellent.
And then there's also the Department of Commerce with the well acquisition that we made, making you aware of the $332,000 that was paid to the carries for the well acquisition, and with $55,000 remaining for the second closing.
Correct.
Okay. So,
You can just approve the entire financial position report,
yeah, exactly.
if you choose.
Yeah, A, B, C, D, and E.
And that's what I'm proposing to do.
Okay.
So go ahead, I'm making a motion to approve the financial position
Oh.
report. What?
Okay,
Go ahead.
Jeff?
Could I ask you, similar to like how the county approaches it, just to separate the water fund vouchers for a separate vote? So I can say so.
Oh, yeah, you should do that.
Is that the one with the,
The
16,000?
16,000.
Yeah, the 16,273.
Okay, gotcha.
There is more information on that as well.
Okay, so we will approve A, B, D, and E, correct?
Yeah, okay. I'll make a motion to approve Alpha, Bravo, Delta, and Echo on our financial position report as is.
Okay,
second.
all right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved. Water fund vouchers, let's, payment of that one.
Okay, so in the water fund vouchers, there is, in my executive director's report, unfortunately it's a little out of order, but we have the Kitsap housing dilemma with some of the lack of, I guess, understanding for the billing cycle for the water fund. We have billed them completely out for that entire project of 12 houses. They've paid us over $110,000, I believe,
Okay.
for connection fees and line extension fees and the whole 9 yards. One of the fees in there wasn't clearly,
Delineated?
well, yeah, I looked through a lot of emails, and they didn't seem to quite show that particular charge, but they agreed to pay it because it's part of our water policy. But there was a $4,775 billing from Northwest Water for engineering for part of their project. And I negotiated back and forth with Dean Nail, the executive director of the housing place, and came up with a solution of that could be part of our administrative costs for the amount of money that they had paid, because some of that wasn't fully understood
Okay.
with when Larry had given them a budget. So that's why the water fund is so high. $4,470 some odd dollars of the water fund payment is due to us paying that off.
Okay.
So where does it show that we received those funds in this report?
Those funds were received, actually, that's 4/8 on the ratification. $45,000 there is paid, $45,500 is paid by Kitsap Housing.
But you mentioned 110,000.
$63,000 was paid in 2022.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Jeff, you had a comment?
Yeah, this is a more one step back,
Okay.
dealing with budgeting.
Mm-hmm.
No disagreement with what Travis is saying, it's components of this whole thing. And maybe it's coming, 'cause I know you're getting a percentage of your expenses showing a report there, so I haven't seen that yet. But
Oh, yeah, it would be
We have an
good.
extra copy.
Thank you.
Here.
We finally got them at the 9th hour.
other than that's fine, I'll make the comment, 'cause I can't read and chew gum at the same time. Anyway, Jeff Carey, Belfair. This is more of a general statement. Like I was saying, I don't disagree with anything that Travis is presenting to you, and, that's all in part of it. But what I want to instill, and maybe it's more in this report, is the board needs to see where you are with these funds in order that we're going to be able to hit this budget. And the reason this comes to my attention is that when you look at the list of vouchers for water fund, and this is true of any of the funds, but we're just focused on water. I'm concerned that you have this general expense about things like professional services and engineering, okay? But I can't tell, I know we broke it up by what was billable and not billable, what are things that are the water testing and the different things by Northwest Water. All I'm getting at is, while we're in this period of trying to balance our budget and run snug and tight here, trying to make, this year work, we need to, even if, as I explained to Travis, if we can't get the reports to show, at least manually put it in there and say, okay, this is where we should be at these different points. We're only talking maybe 15, 20 categories, so it's not a big task. It's a nuisance task, because the report should be produced by the accounting system, but if it's not there, the board's going to need to see. Otherwise, from my vantage point, it seems like you're flying blind.
Yeah, no,
You
totally
can get
agree.
derailed, right.
And I'm concerned when I look at it, that the charges to me appear to be legit. There's no issue there. But if they're higher or getting higher right off the bat, we need to know, the board needs to know that, the commission needs to know that before you get too far along. Otherwise, we're going to have trouble, making our budgets. And, there's a lot of, as you all know, there was a lot of work put to get to that, and it was not, it was not easy, and it's tight, and we just have to work through it. So I'll look at this, and maybe it gets closer to what we're talking about. But and I say the older days, as I get older, things become the older days. When we used to work, my dad's business runs in manufacturing, electronics manufacturing. We had these, payable runs. You'd have a payment to XYZ company, but it might be different categories. So for example, like with Northwest Water, you have engineering that's billable, engineering that's not. You have these things related to the acquisition of my water system, that's a different category. I'm not about trying to create all the, nitty-gritty accounting, but what I'm trying to say is we need to know that we're staying in our budgets or close to it. I'm not after, it's less than 5%, I don't even think about it, but we need to stay close.
Yeah.
So that would be my point with this whole matter here, and I'll look further and see if we're closer. But at least prior to this meeting, it looked like the board would be flying blind if you're approving this. Not saying it shouldn't be approved, just saying that going forward, we need to further work at getting stuff that, reports one way or another that said, so you, the board, and us, the public, can say, okay, this is what we allocated, this is where we are we within range or not? And there might be legit reasons why we're not, and how we're going to cover it. Or if we aren't and don't have a way, then we need to now, when you have a public meeting, maybe not this meeting here, but by the next meeting, figure out how we balance that back out.
Yeah, well, and part of this is to pay them, so we may have to approve this anyway, even with this dialogue, but we need to move forward and adjust later.
I'm not saying to hold up, but what I'm just saying is you're flying, we need to work at getting this better.
I
get that.
Because I knew there is something we're missing here to really get a closer look at this as to where we should be and where we actually are. Like percentages are nice, but that's not in that category here, in that area. But that doesn't tell me where we should be right now this month.
What it used to be is a trial balance that said, okay,
oh, right,
what we produced, what we paid for this year to date, and then, if you had a more elaborate system, it said, okay, what you allocate for this. And again, I'm not after whether the number is high or low, it's mainly saying, okay, if it's high, is there a reason and how you work it, and the board should address that.
Yeah.
And if it's, and because we're trying to keep this balanced, because the water fund needs to be in a certain position to help the general fund at the end of this year. Everything I've seen come together so far looks like it's going in that direction. So, sometime especially when we start to work the budget for next year, but either in late September, probably September, there's going to be a point, at least by what I see.
We're going to have some workshops.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm saying the board's going to have to somewhere in there take an additional loan from the water fund to the general fund.
Yeah.
Unless something else comes down. But at least with what we knew when we put the budget together and to date, that still stands.
Okay, point well taken. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I would suggest that we go ahead and approve this and then do adjustments if we need to later.
And I'm happy to work with Travis.
Okay.
What that entails. I mean, I've done it before.
Sure.
In another lifetime, so.
Okay,
It
another
should be-
lifetime.
It should be repeatable.
Okay, so,
These reports that I provide you are kind of a second coming from Aaron
yeah,
about trying to get closer to that outcome.
yeah, so that buzzword trial balance is really the idea of those 15 to 20 categories or whatever that does look like, to see where we're at, where we projected we would be at exactly at that particular beginning of each month. That's what we need to have as part of position reports. So,
Okay, let's
I
move
will make a
forward.
motion to approve payment of water fund vouchers totaling $16,273.90.
I'll second.
okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Commissioner reports. John, would you like to go? Mike, would you like to start? Anybody?
I'll go ahead and kick it off.
Okay,
No, go ahead.
Okay, I'm just trying to be helpful to the new guy, but, just the two, the regular meeting minutes, the regular meeting, on April 1st, and the special meeting on April 11th, I attended, and then my regular monthly Transit Authority Board meet that I got together with. We're on as a general report, but I'm comfortable and happy the direction we're going with the Board of Allyn and some discovery and moving forward in a positive way.
great. Mike, you have anything to share?
Well, let's see how I put this. Just before I talk about?
Yes, but we talked about what you've done for the
Okay.
meetings you've attended. And
I haven't attended any other meetings because I just.
Because you're brand new.
You
Because I
attended
just
the
started
11th
out.
you attended the 11th and the 1st.
Yeah, I was at the 11th and the 1st, but other than that, it's, but, also the other thing is I was talking about the, ways to get rid of the,
Sea lions?
sea lions, but that's later on in our thing.
That's
so-
also on our agenda later.
So
on.
I can discuss that
Sure.
part later, but,
Like if you have attended any like the EDC or any of the other types of community meetings, maybe like the outreach that you do.
For the community.
oh, like,
Anything
Oh, like-
community involved.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, well, I attended the Republican State Convention. That was, that was interesting.
Non-denominational politically.
Yeah, sorry, that was interesting, to
Okay.
say the least. But it was, I did my part for that. And then I worked with my church, with working with, Celebrate Recovery, helping people that are
That's
addicted
great.
to drugs, alcohol, and other hurts, habits, and hangups.
That's wonderful. Great.
So-
Okay. I did the regular meeting, I did EDC, Economic Development Council. Kevin Schutte is now the new executive director for Economic Development Council, of which he would like to meet with us as a board, I think. He'd like to, which I'm encouraged that EDC wants to come up here, so
Yeah.
that's great.
I'll
So
get
we'll
some
have-
contact information from you and I'll set something up.
Okay, that sounds great. And, of course, I did, gave lunches for Tahuya Forest Cleanup Day, Earth Day, up at the Tahuya Forest with the Department of Natural Resource volunteers, and also Trash Mash at the volunteers at Sweetwater Creek. And then April 25th, and these aren't port-related, but, you know, just trying to keep involved. And then DNR Focus Group meeting on the April 25th. So, there we go. Security report.
Okay. All right, security report. Quite a bit of activity throughout the park now that the weather is improving. Our local attraction, the Sea Lions, have acquired quite a following at night. I've had to ask several visitors to not park on the boat ramp, since we would like revenue rather than not revenue. A very amount of mixed reactions from asking such a request, but inevitably everybody moved. We had some vandalism on the 14th. Bathrooms had the windows broken out of them. We've since removed all the glass and boarded the 2 windows up. The report kind of goes on to talk about the interaction I had with some young men that I can't say that they broke the windows, but the windows were broken the very next day after my interactions with them, asking them to leave the bathroom at 10:15 at night. So unfortunately, our camera on the very corner up here could not actually verify anything at that distance. So if we can get ourselves to a point where we get a camera actually on the ramp, that would be
Great.
great, of course, because it would help with our, making sure we get our fees all the time. But that is something for the future, of course. Any questions on the security report as it was read?
No?
Okay. Move on to the executive director's
Indeed.
report.
Yep.
All right, let's see if I can get through this. It's a lot of reading. Carry well purchase. Bottom line, the Port of Allyn has closed on the first part of the 2-stage purchase of Jeff and Debbie Carey's Allyn water system. The port is on track to incorporate their system users into the current billing structure starting May 15th, from the final readings taken by Jeff Carey on April 15th, per the purchase and sale agreement. Pending the completion of the alley vacation, the boundary line adjustment, the second stage of the purchase will take place hopefully before the end of May. Over the next few weeks, Aaron and I will get the users entered to the system and prepare notifications to welcome them to the Port of Allyn water system, AKA ask them for money. Oh, the DWSRF, Department of Health loan. It's a mouthful. That stands for Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. Port is in pre-contract phase with the DWSRF construction loan. During the utility request from a home selling in the plat, it was discovered that the base rate for the users has not changed since January 1st, 2022. The 2019 water system policy was written into it, a yearly increase in the base rate and a consumption increase through January 1st, 2024. So in the accounting system, we're only billing $49.95 for residential and $54.95 for commercial. Consumption rates also increases from 50 cents per category each year. In summary, the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund loan is based on our 2024 numbers, not our 2022 numbers. So if that doesn't get changed, then I will have to go back to them and make sure we're still eligible for the loan. I did talk to Kate with Ogden Murphy Wallace to make sure that there were no legal issues with just notifying users and doing the increase, and she had no issue with that legally. So that is on the agenda for approval. We'll go to the Allyn Pier repairs. On the agenda, marine floats will require the board approval for producing a bid for repairs. This has been an issue in the past for them doing work on curating a bid without an elected board's approval. This doesn't obligate the port to approve their bid. It is just a policy for them. They just don't want to do work without authorization. Exploring the works roster, I've found a few other contractors that do full service pier repair and replacement in the area that look to be able to handle the scope of our repairs. I would ask the board authorize the following contractors to approve bids for repair and future replacement for the Port of Allyn Pier, marine floats, Bellingham Marine, and waterfront construction. There was small one-page write-ups for both waterfront and marine. I wasn't going to print 12 pages out front and back for Bellingham Marine.
Gotcha.
Bellingham Marine is one of the largest marine contractors on the West Coast.
Okay,
So they are fully capable of doing everything. Waterfront Marine is probably the smallest. They're a family-owned operation,
okay.
but they still have, I think, 16 full-time employees.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then Marine Floats is huge. I mean, they're near the size of Bellingham Marine. So the DAP letters that have been received and the finishing touches have been applied to them, and all 3 tribal packets are ready to go. I just haven't had time to put them on the letterhead and send them out.
Okay,
But that'll happen this week.
okay.
Instagram account. Instagram is used predominantly by wedding contractors,
Okay.
more so than Facebook is.
Okay.
That's why we want to have an Instagram account.
Now, is Justine going to do that?
Yes,
or-
she would work on doing that. She has a lot of knowledge in how that operates, and I've got a little bit,
Okay,
but it's not, it's a subsidiary company of Facebook.
Okay.
They're all part of the same social media empire. Sweetwater Creek, the Earth Day cleanup commenced on April 20th, 2024, with volunteers from Trash Mash, Hood Canal Salmon Enhancement Group, Justfield Construction, and the Port of Allyn. 2 full truckloads of material removed from both the Port of Allyn and Hood Canal Salmon Enhancement Group properties. The concrete ecology blocks placed in the state right-of-way have been moved to the back parking lot edges. More coordination will happen with the Hood Canal Salmon Enhancement Route leading on debris removal. Peter Allen with the DNR has agreed to spend the day with me sometime in late May with the board's approval to cut hazard trees within the proposed trail route that have the potential for complications. These cuts would remain in place to act as habitat for the surrounding ecosystem unless some other reason would require their removal. Last meeting, discussions took place regarding the applicant resolution and authorization form required by Washington Recreation and Conservation Office for the Salmon Enhancement Group to proceed the work of seeking grant funding on the port's behalf. I explained before, without the Salmon Enhancement Group, the Salmon Enhancement Group cannot process any requests for funding on the port's behalf. just the first of many forms and paperwork required to become eligible for the RCO funding. It's my recommendation to not go after funding this grant cycle at Sweetwater Creek with Salmon Enhancement Group. There are still issues with the debris and the Port of Allyn property, or on the Salmon Enhancement Group and Port of Allyn property that must be wrapped up before the end of summer to bring the two properties into RCO compliance. As getting the project into the RCO compliance is the current directive from the commission, I will only recommend processes that achieve the goal at this time. There was an opportunity to present to the Mason County Board of Commissioners and update on the current state of the Sweetwater Creek project. As this project is an ongoing part of the project portfolio, the presentation can occur whenever the opportunity presents itself again. Acquiring a letter of support is a solid way to garner favor in the grant writing process. If the board concurs with my recommendation to not pursue grant funding this cycle, this can go on the back burner too. There has been some discussion with Mindy Harlow at the Salmon Enhancement Group about new legislation that makes getting formally listed voluntary cleanup program sites removed from the list easier for property owners. This is a free consultation and can be explored through the board should the board choose to approve inquiry about the conditions required. More information can be found at the following link. Oyster House. There are 3 separate Department of Commerce direct appropriations of funding for the Oyster House project. As of today, I've received all 3 of them. No longer just 2 as it's in the report. I received the 3rd one this morning from DAP.
Great.
So getting those tribal letters together should be done within the week. If not, next week. I've talked over with Chris, our helpful friend on the grant process, and she's out of town until Friday, I think. So I'll probably concentrate on getting the pier one out, and then she can help me reroute some of those for the Oyster House.
Great.
So, either way, by the end of the month, we will have all of our direct appropriations, grants, paperwork to the tribes, which is the largest hurdle of the process. Okay, last month, the commission asked for some additional scrutiny on the Art Anderson design contract. After some discussions back and forth between our insurance partner, Endurus, and Brad at Art Anderson, I recommended some changes. Art Anderson offered to remove the provision that only offered responsibility for the level of payment received, but fell short of offering to change their contract to the level of their actual insurance coverage would carry. Instead, they were willing to sign the Port of Allyn provided professional services contract. Now, I have yet to find a professional services contract that we have that is just a contract we provide to contractors.
Yeah, I don't recall usually.
So in this paperwork, there is one that I have used a template from Kitsap County because I could not find a good Mason County one.
Okay.
And that is there for you to see as well. So I know after looking into it, Port doesn't have their own professional services contract, so that's the gist of that bit there. So have a look at that. That was one of the added agenda items that got missed being added. Kitsap Housing. Took a long hard dive into the circumstances around the billing. Latest billing, find out that there remained a legacy tapping bill, which wasn't accounted for with Kitsap Housing. Also, the Northwest Water Engineering was under contract with the Port of Allyn, but acknowledged that both Kitsap Housing and Northwest Water, that the engineering billing was the responsibility of Kitsap Housing. Somewhere in the communication process from Larry and Kitsap Housing's multiple agents, the two $1,500 charges for engineering review and self-install option per bill didn't translate to Kitsap Housing. The short of it is a final development billing was constructed by myself. Kitsap Housing paid that billing, and the other missed billing surfaced with legacy tapping. I provided their Director Dean Nail with the same write-up in your packet. I also included the original billing that they paid at the beginning of April. My recommendation are to break down Phase 1 housing, Kitsap housing, into the Port of Allyn water system document, are my recommendations. So, any new information becomes available at the meeting time approaches, blah, blah, blah. And then the update portion is basically what I talked to you before. We'd made a loose arrangement pending your approval for that $4,744 to be paid by the port, and then they take care of their legacy tapping bill, and they also owed us for some meters, which we received the check on Friday.
Okay.
So that got deposited, I think it got deposited Friday, but it'll show up on next month. Yep.
Okay.
EDC list, the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy list update is due May 17th, so we'll have to have answers on that this meeting. Last year, the Port of Allyn was listed for the following projects: Oyster House security and well replacement. Recommend that the EDC, I recommend to the EDC to remove the well replacement as it's near completion, unless you would like to keep it there. Adding the pier and Sweetwater projects is my thoughts. If you see anything else when the line item comes up for discussion, let me know. I will add them to the list. I just have to fill out a form
Yeah,
and provide them with that.
one of those items, if you don't mind me, in regard to the Oyster House. Once the Oyster House gets done and set in place, the next component will be the museum curators and all that stuff. So that might be something that, if it's on the feds list, then we can get grants.
Okay. And I do have DAP actually, in part of their letter, stated that they believe that it fits the category for a historical site.
Yeah.
So that'll
Definitely.
that'll be helpful that they've already identified that.
Yeah.
Our derelict vessel problem from last year has finally paid out.
Yeah.
That was the mistaken switcheroo there on the 29th, where Aaron had a coding issue with getting it deposited into the general fund rather than the water fund. So we finally got our $5,700 some odd dollars back.
That's nice.
Endurance schedules. In the packet, you saw the endurance schedules. Those are the property and vehicle updates for the year, the next calendar year. If you see anything there, please let me know. I will be combing over them again. I did see a couple of errors, like we don't have a value on our Toyota truck. Just
Okay,
little stupid
I
things
was-
like that.
okay, I was-
And then what the screenshot page I provided you showed the things that I already told them to change that will be changed. They're things that were very straightforward. When it comes up, you can let me know if there's some additional items. Kitsap All Ports meeting. I did attend the Kitsap All Ports meeting. Many mutual issues facing port districts were discussed. Greg Nance of the 23rd Legislative District spoke to the field about working on tackling the Washington State Ferry funding and wanted to work with the ports in the district for solutions to staffing and vessel shortages. Talk of creating a port or a Puget Sound Maritime Naval Academy to help address shortfalls of the 900 plus ferry workers projected 2030. If someone doesn't address it.
Can you explain what the Puget Sound Naval Academy is? Is that local here?
So they're trying to create an institute for them to teach people, basically be merchantmen.
Okay, perfect.
And literally that's right down our alley. I would like to continue to be in on that conversation because that could provide quite a economic development for our area,
Yeah, you bet.
especially jobs. Because they're right about the ferry workers shortfall. It's pretty excessive. The Port of Manchester had reports of gunfire they were addressing. Port of Illahee is struggling with the demands of getting funding to remove the entire barrier reefs, and the state has mandated to be mitigated. They also found out recently they have a beaver dam that has become a recent issue. It appears that they'll have to find funding to remove that as well. Port of Brownsville has several resident vessel issues with multiple reasons why they can't take action against them for their lack of payment. It was a pretty interesting scenario. It's actually, the vessel that they can't get payment on is owned by the government because somebody bought it, but they didn't go through the process of acquiring the title
Oh.
properly.
Sure.
So there's
Sure.
literally nothing they can do currently. Glad we don't have those problems. Next Kitsap All Ports meeting is Monday, July 29th. Potluck starts at 5. I recommend you put it on the schedule. That's an excellent one to attend. And it's almost always at the Port of Brownsville, correct. Northwest Water Systems, due to sampling errors between June and September of 23, the water system will have to send out a notice to all water users that only 4 out of the 5 required lead and copper samples made it to the lab in the acceptable window. All 4 samples came back clean and within safe range, but since 5 are required, the port will have to deal with the violation. These letters will get mailed out with an explanation from the port why it occurred in the May billings. Just send it with our regular billings.
Okay.
Now that the port is the legal owner of the Allyn and Cary water system, addressing the satellite management contracts with Northwest Water is necessary. Until consolidation is approved by the DOH, they remain 2 separate systems. So we have to have 2 separate contracts. Once we actually consolidate the 2, then we can merge them under 1 contract. But until then, we will be stuck with 2 separate contracts.
What's the timeline on DOH? Do you know?
On getting the funding?
Yeah, well, on getting it consolidated where.
Well, it'll depend on
Oh,
when
we
we
have to
get the
close.
funding to be able to pay for the construction, to tie them in, and then they approve them
Okay.
being 1 system.
All right,
Until they actually are merged together, then
Okay.
there's gonna be a bit of a timeline.
all right.
These contracts can be terminated within 30 days written notice without cause. I would ask the board to authorize the office to explore some community members, with some community members, other options and self-management of the system. Their copious amount of experience is sure to lead to a solid path going forward. It's basically just having the talk
Yeah.
of finding a reasonable outline so that we can see if it's possible for us to run the water system without a management company, which is possible. But we do have to make sure that all the ducks are in a row because frankly, they've missed on several of our testing requirements. We've had to do extra work in the office because of it. And I don't believe that we missed that 5th lead and copper sample.
So are you getting a notice saying we hadn't sent it in, that's why you know we missed it, or?
Well, I got the notice from DOH first, but they were supposed to have sent me that notice a while ago that we had missed it.
Oh,
And it's one of those where they provide us the bottles and then we go get them.
right.
And then once the bottles are obtained, they have to get to the lab within a week.
Okay,
And the problem is that I remember Leanne complaining excessively that she calls and nobody would come and pick up the bottles.
all right.
Unless we
So-
take them there.
Right.
Which is in Paulsbo.
And so,
Is it still in Paulsbo?
no, it's in Tacoma is where the actual,
Oh,
well, Tacoma is where they do the testing.
no?
But you would take the bottles to Port Orchard.
Okay.
Yeah, their office is in Port
Jeff?
Orchard.
To add to Travis's presentation there, this problem is also, we incurred also, our water
Okay.
system. And I've agreed with Travis that we just got notice in the middle of April that we did not do our lead and copper samples from back in September. In other words, there's no notification from Northwest Water or anything about it, but then we got notice from Department of Health where, again, like before, we needed to send out letters to all the water users. And the way their form is, I ended up writing another document because it looks like we have a crisis, you're right, when in fact, the quality water's fine. We're not downgraded, it's not downgraded, it's just a missing report in the process. And because in 2023, there was a whole bunch of additional tests run on our system to make sure that when it merged with your system,
Right.
that we weren't, quote unquote, polluting you. And so Travis and I are talking about different options potentially how to work this, as far as either port or other suppliers other
Yeah.
than Northwest Water.
Okay.
But they basically missed guess in our case, and I agreed with Travis that while it wasn't part of the contract as far as the acquisition of our system, that we would go ahead and complete that process with Northwest Water and DOH and the testing facilities. And last week, got the samples, Friday took them into Northwest Water and let them, work the 5 samples and see what comes out.
Okay.
But like, we should not have any problem. Most of our system is PVC, C900 type, HDP, plastics type.
This- yeah.
For the meters.
This particular test is more important for much older water systems with different materials involved.
Sure.
So,
The EPA wants, and that's another thing I promised too, that committed to Travis, is that there's a spreadsheet that the EPA and DOH are pushing out, and they want to know the whole breakdown your system from, well to well house to distribution to, running on the streets to eventually to the houses, to each.
yeah, they've made me aware of it. I just haven't been able to add it to a report yet or thought about
No,
it. But
it's-
and we've got time.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got time.
All right.
But in our case, we want to get ours done, so it's
Yeah.
before it has.
Clean start. Do you need approval for this right now, or?
No,
Okay.
when it comes up in the rest of
Okay,
the agenda, you
perfect.
can make your approvals.
So how are we doing right now? We're going, they're bringing it to your attention about 2023, right? So
Yeah.
Right now, do we have a schedule set up so that we don't?
Yeah, so
allow that to happen?
this particular test, we've just sent this year's samples in.
Okay,
And they were kind of slow on the pickup process, but they've got 3 of them in, and they picked up 2 more last week.
so you said plural, so you send out several samples at each time? instead of
So
each
what they
time?
do is they actually look at our water system, and they look at all the addresses, and they go, we want 5 samples, and we want them from these individual addresses.
Oh, okay, I see.
And
How
then
many
we'll-
times a year we do that?
Once a year,
Once a year?
yeah, once a year.
So all these samples are for each time, one time?
Yep.
Boom. Okay.
And the issue is that they sent us those addresses, and some of them, there wasn't even anybody in the house. The house was for sale,
Okay,
because they don't have that information. So we had to go back and forth with them several times to get alternative addresses.
all right.
There was one house that we couldn't get anyone to even, answer the door. They pay their bill. So, we're just like, hey, we're not gonna leave this there and not get a response. We're gonna physically hand it to the customer so that we know that we can get that testing done.
But this can be done out, it doesn't have to be done from inside the house, does it?
Oh, yeah, it does have to be
It
done
has to
that.
be
Yeah, it has to be
inside
done
out?
from their kitchen sink, that particular one. And
Oh.
they have the system needs to be dormant for a while, and then you run the water, and then take the sample, and it has to come up to the line, and then
All right,
the line's good to go.
all right.
It's a bunch of monkey motion.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so in July of '23, Larry signed a blanket contract with professional services with Northwest Water. I find this to be a near blank check when it comes to processing our engineering and planning of the water system. I would ask that I receive authorization to revoke the contract and insist on a single scope of work with each contract detailing the estimated hours of the contract. It currently only requires email authorization for approvals and added à la carte additions. This way of doing business has promoted the need to look outside their organization for alternatives for engineering and the management field. The current booster pumping station proposal was made in 2021 and is estimated by Northwest Water to cost about $88,000 to construct, construction costs alone. This doesn't consider the tie-in of the 2 systems to reach full consolidation. The DWSRF loan that we have been awarded is about $123,000. With the current plan drawn up in 2021, this would not be enough to cover both the pumping station and consolidation. I'd ask the board to authorize the office to explore other engineering professionals for alternatives to the current booster design to rein in the cost to something more manageable. So the particular design that was drawn up is a 5-pump design. It is set up to feed hundreds more connections than we will see in the coming years. We just want permission to be able to go look at some other options and try to get our costs down to hopefully get that entire amount to cover both the consolidation and the pumping station. We may not get there, costs have gone up and everything else, but we can get a lot closer because this seems like 30+ thousand out of budget. And we don't wanna be there. So that will also come up in your line items later on.
Okay.
So what other options are out there besides?
We just have to
Northwest
contact
One?
some other engineering firms and get
Uh-huh.
another opinion on design.
Well, Jeff has another,
Yeah, I'd like to hear an answer to
No,
that.
no,
well,
I'm saying,
no, he's got,
he's saying
Yeah.
another option, we're leaving generic, not saying that the plan that I proposed to the board a while back is the plan, because I'm not an engineer.
Okay,
But my gut feel, based on my experience doing this, that we probably can come up with a whole different approach.
okay,
That's an upgrade of a well pump and one booster that's spared. So in their setup, the Northwest Water, there's 5. Most of the time, you're only depending on 2 of the pumps. But as I mentioned a number of meetings back, because there was no criteria, no management of the engineering process, it went off, a little bit off the rails, in the
Yeah.
sense that nobody took the time to look at what area you're servicing and what you really needed to provide into those areas. As an example, they had the water line going, through Tacoma City Lights right away. Well, Tacoma City Light right is not real on board doing that
Right.
anymore.
yeah,
And when you look at the elevations, in most cases, you could get a fire hydrant with the existing gravity fed system you had within so that no house was about further than, I think the worst case, there's about one that was about 350 feet. And most of those are gonna have to be sprinkled anyway because they're on 15% plus slopes. So there wasn't this looking into things, and so they got these big pumps, like 25 horsepower pumps, to give you fire flow to a fire hydrant. But it's not needed.
okay.
yeah.
So,
Okay, well, we'll
Yeah,
explore that.
yeah.
Go ahead, Travis.
Okay, and I'll just add there, I found out on Friday that the main engineer that we've been working with, Ryan Frank, actually has quit Northwest Water.
Okay,
And he quit to start his own business supplying to smaller water systems.
okay.
We will have a new engineer to work with regardless at Northwest Water. Security cameras, with full access restored to the single security camera here at the Allyn waterfront location. The next step is to reset the 3 installed North Shore cameras. So we require some planning and finding some equipment to reach the height of the 2 larger cameras, which are installed on steel poles 15 to 20 feet respectively in the air. The preliminary work has begun to plan a course to retrieve access. Once access has been restored, getting conductivity for transmission of signal back to the office will take some more research on how to keep the monthly costs down. More progress should be available in next month's meeting. This cost was costing us $215 a month for what had been set up before in internet fees, and we need to explore that not being as expensive to actually get the signal back from the North Shore. After it sounds like renting a small lift would be a more economic solution.
Well, I usually, like I said,
Yeah.
I can get a man lift. It's a towable and they're really easy in and out, easy.
Yep. And that way
they're
it could be
great.
done in a day,
Yeah.
regain access, and
Yep.
then move on from there.
Okay,
That is the extent of the executive director's report.
okay, moving right along. Old business. See if I can find it here.
Well,
Sorry.
we just covered that.
Okay, setting the time and date for the monthly commissioner workshop briefing. Gotta set that up. We're not in July, we're in May.
Right now?
Yeah, let's try and work on that now. Now, I'm going to the Washington Public Courts Association in Skamania. I'll be leaving the 15th, 16th, 17th.
I will also be gone for that, and I've
Okay,
dealt with office coverage for that as well.
okay.
Can I throw a day out?
Sure.
Thursday, 23rd?
Sure, if it's in the, I can't do it, I might be able to do it. Yeah. Let me check here. I can if in the afternoon.
Noon?
It'd have to be after 1, because I
Okay.
got 4. So
Is one pushing it for you? 1 o'clock would be good for me.
about 1:30. Give me 15 minutes to get here because I'm on the, I have
Done.
reads.
2 of the
How
3.
about you, Mike?
It's 1:15, you said?
Sure, or
1:30.
1:30.
Or 1:30? Okay.
23rd of Thursday, the Thursday of May.
Yep, I should be able to do it.
Works, okay.
And we'll just do 1 month at a time, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I like that.
So 1:30, are you good with that, Travis?
Yeah, sounds,
What?
I see that on the schedule, it doesn't say anything. Yeah, I don't know.
What happened?
Or the port calendar says that the downstairs at 1:30, but, or 1 o'clock, there's something scheduled, but it has no,
We don't have to do it here if that happens. We'll do it.
no, there's no,
Okay.
there's nothing else than that. It says 1 PM downstairs. I don't know anyone who has it.
All right. Thank
We'll
you.
leave it at that. It's a workshop, so we can
Yeah.
go upstairs
Sure.
and,
It'll
put
be
extra
fine.
chairs up.
No conflict.
It's
Okay.
summertime too. We can go outside.
Okay. All right,
This is pavilion.
discussion, possible action, Sweetwater Creek.
And that was 1:30, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
1:30,
On the 23rd of May.
23rd May. What?
Okay.
Okay, we're good.
Okay.
Okay, Sweetwater Creek. Was that about the trees with DNR? Oh, sorry. Yep. Sorry.
It's in one of the colors. Okay. It's in blue.
I'm getting there. Thank you so much. Okay.
First, I'd like to say something while we're getting that put together, that the community effort to engage in cleaning that up has been fantastic.
Yes.
So, which, really nice.
Oh, yeah, that's one thing. We have to say a big thank you to Linda Wojtowicz and Trash Mash,
Yeah.
and Mindy, Brandon, Sabrina, representing Hood Canal Salmon Enhancement Group, Sam Merrill, Steve Merrill, Frank Merrill of Just Field Construction, Justine, Don O'Keefe, and Travis. Thanks for showing up.
And
And
Ken.
and
Ken
Ken,
showed up
you
as
were
well.
there too.
What is it you're looking at there?
Saying
Sweetwater.
thank you to everybody who attended at the Sweetwater.
What is that document?
It's not a document, we're just discussing and giving gratitude towards those that,
Ken, it's a flow agenda, and you're welcome to have one if you like. I just don't put it on the
I wasn't
website.
sure what it was.
It's literally just notes from my executive directors,
It's
but
list-
I'd be happy to give you one.
And
I
it's
was just
listing,
curious what you guys were looking at.
and it's listing people to thank, so I don't forget.
yeah.
And also, in regard to getting together with Peter Allen as well. So
Yep.
I think that'd be great. I know that Ken had offered to help with that, but I think it'd be wise with DNR, we've been working with them. I think it'd be wise to go ahead and get some input from Peter
Yes.
as well.
And we'll check with DAP as well and make sure that there's no conflict with us removing the vegetation.
Oh, really? For that,
Yeah,
you
so
think?
you have to check it. You do have to
Okay.
check it.
I didn't think we had to do any of that one. I, also, when you talked about tabling any grants, I would agree with that, to go for any application for any grants for this round. I think we can just wait.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's just work with it.
Second that.
Okay,
Yeah, and they're not motions, they're just approvals.
yep.
Okay.
Thanks for the,
Is there anything else on that we need to?
I don't think so.
So we cover the resolution and authorization, covering the Mason County Board of Commissioners, tabling that as well for the letter of support.
Yes.
And then the free consultation at the end with Ecology would need approval, should you want me to do so.
Oh, yeah, that's for
Oh, yes, okay.
making sure we get
Yes.
off the list.
I would like to
Okay,
think that we
as long
should
as-
authorize
Does everyone
you.
approve that?
Do you have any heartburn over authorizing him to get the consultation from the ecology?
No, I
Travis?
think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Okay,
We have everything to gain and nothing to lose.
yeah.
Free is free.
Yes, indeed. Okay, that's great, thank you. Okay, discussion on the booster pump station consolidation.
That's it for the Sweetwater?
So, yes, I think. Any other comment that you wanted, gentlemen, on Sweetwater?
Okay, I just made a note here, but, no, that's all.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
I wasn't following that flow agenda correctly. Did you authorize the actual falling of those trees
Which trees?
or just a consultation?
Which trees, Ken?
The trees on
DNR.
Sweetwater.
With Peter Allen.
Oh,
That was an approval
Yeah, I think.
to go forward
You're
with it
actually gonna fall the trees.
unless there's anything in the way saying that we shouldn't.
Yeah,
I don't think all the commissioners quite understood that, but.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
I get
Do all the commissioners
you all
understand that
okay
we were
with-
authorizing the
yeah,
fall
I'm trying to
trees?
figure out why wouldn't we want to cut down trees that we find or deem as,
hazardous.
to
I
make
thought
it
it was
a
fairly
better,
clear.
safer place? I don't understand.
so we authorize you,
And being
Well,
left
you're
on the
Peter
you're
Allen
ground,
laughing
to-
at that.
yeah.
I'm just asking, Ken.
so, makes
I would
sense.
reauthorize it and get every commissioner's approval.
Okay. So,
so I would like.
how many
to-
trees are we looking at needing to cut?
Well, that's why we're gonna,
40 plus.
I'm not asking you, Mr. Van Busker.
The arborist report identified 40-plus trees,
Okay,
but not all of those are within the proposed walking path,
okay.
yeah,
which is just up the road and off to the north and loops back around to the road. So many of those trees were actually to the
Was this from the?
south, and we would be able to gauge whether they could actually fall into the trail.
Okay. Was this last year we had somebody come through? and have-
Arborist.
is
Yeah,
That's
an
from this
an
report,
arborist,
right?
Correct,
right,
Okay, and then, and those were clearly identified, and we're up to 40 trees.
correct.
So we're just following through with everything we worked on previously?
yes.
Okay, so it's nothing new, that's what I'm trying to understand.
Correct.
And I wasn't trying to be disrespectful to him, I was just trying to get a direct question from the team here to try and get some information that I needed to know, so, okay.
Okay,
Hopefully he'll come back.
and again, Peter Allen is with Department of Natural Resources.
Yes, he's the
a
volunteer,
forester.
he's the volunteer forester manager coordinator.
Yes,
Yeah, we got the right people.
yeah. And even with hazardous trees, I mean, he's given a definition of hazardous trees. It's only if it's going to bodily harm
Or impact
buildings.
structures.
Yes. or
Actually, it's
impact
actually only if it's gonna impact structures.
Structures.
Doesn't
Yeah.
actually
So-
speak to bodily harm from my understanding.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. So anyway, we authorize you to work with Peter Allen of DNR to remove trees if necessary, or view and consult.
What's the cost?
Cost is, I don't think anything.
No, I think he's volunteering.
The cost is my time. I will probably do it
Yeah.
on the port's
Yeah.
paid time. Because I will go down
what I
there.
wanted to hear.
Yeah, okay,
All right,
I have extensive tree falling experience. I've been doing it for a long time.
All
I
right.
just haven't fallen a tree in a few years, but it's like riding a bike.
yeah.
all right, very good. Thank you.
Okay, next is the booster station proposal. Comments on that one? The booster,
As detailed in the executive director's report, it's just trying to get authorization to explore other
Oh.
options.
yes,
And
okay,
I agree with that.
okay. So as what he had mentioned before, he just needs authorization to explore other engineering professionals for a simpler design than what Northwest Water had provided. And we could get closer to our loan budget. Does everybody agree of giving him authorization?
Yes,
Okay, there you go.
explore away.
And also, discussion about the CDS attorneys at law. Can you, do I need to, you want to talk
You wanna
about that one?
take that one, John?
I'll be happy to.
Sure.
So, I went ahead, came here early today and on a conference call with Tim, our attorney. We spoke to the matter of entertaining them as a general counsel. He was saying we're not talking about retainer money, he just wants to know where we're at, and if we're interested, because we reached out obviously and wanted to ask some questions about what that would look like. And so at this point, if the commission's comfortable with it, to keep things simple as far as that conversation goes, I personally would like to see us take on them as general counsel, not just for the litigation purposes. He was brought on at one time, right? So that's the gist of it.
I would agree. Do you
I
need a
feel
motion
very-
for that?
I feel very comfortable with the conversation we had. I like
Okay.
the idea, and hopefully they believe that we're a good fit, because we still have to wait for them to get back to us and say, yes, we're willing to take you on as general counsel.
And beyond that, there'll be no need for an executive session. It's just a matter of, if they come back and say, that, they just want to make sure, because they serve so many ports,
Sure.
that they don't overextend themselves. Like the Port of Silverdale, they're general counsel for them. They do what they do very well.
Yes.
And if there's any shortcomings where they don't do something that's a real specialty, it's not unusual for a port to go and get some local, specific, technical knowledge in an area or two, but, they would be happy to, he seems to be on board with it, but he has to check with, their chain of command, you know. As we know, Frank, is retired, but, I don't know what that looks like, but they're gonna get back to us on that matter,
Okay,
okay?
Yeah, their ports division has 16 staff members
16,
Great.
yeah.
in there just for ports.
yeah.
So,
Well, and Frank Schmelik, that's the C in there. He's
Yeah.
been port,
How's their costs compared to
Yeah.
other?
And
Well,
we need
they're
that.
better than what we had with Brogan. They're like
they're cheaper than Brody was, so,
Brogan,
yeah, Brogan, yeah.
yeah.
And they
Our
do,
last general counsel.
and they initially do what's called a checklist of sort, if you will, for ports as far as keeping in compliance as to all statutory law. So that would be the first order if they come on board.
They would go over things like
Yes,
our
yeah.
delegation of authority.
Yeah.
Maybe this professional services contract. You know, just some of these documents that are kind of boilerplate stuff for ports to need for certain aspects of their doing business, and make sure that we have a good solid look on those, to make sure that we don't have anything that's out of sense. So, and that was the big one, you know, first we would ask for, you know, your executive director's delegation of authority, and we'd want to look over that and make sure that you were covered. So,
And there was a new legislative law passed on
Yeah.
public records, and I'm not going to speak to that directly. He was trying to explain it, but he's going to have it very clear in writing as to what that change was.
Okay.
We'll leave it at that.
Do you need a motion on that one? I think we already actually had them. didn't
you've
we?
already approved searching out them as our general counsel.
Yeah, okay.
So even
we-
like
we
once
can
they
move-
come back and say, you know, hey, we'll do it for you guys.
Yeah, I can just sign us up for it.
Okay, sounds excellent.
Well,
Sounds good.
well, we'll take it to the meeting and then approve it.
Sure, we can do that.
We'll do that because that would be appropriate. But we'll just wait to see what they got to say. That's it.
Okay, and then next, are we done with that one?
Yep.
Next would be the discussion of possible action on the Northwest Water Satellite Management contracts, and which you have mentioned in your executive director report. I think you just mostly need authorization to investigate more.
No, these are
Others,
the
or-
two satellite management contracts for
Oh,
them to
okay,
actually
that we
run our
have
water
to
system.
approve. Okay,
These are the ones that we've delayed because we were waiting to own Jeff's
Correct.
system.
Okay.
And now we have to just sign the two individual contracts or find somebody else. The contracts there's nothing really out of bounds there.
Okay.
Looked over them several times.
do we have, as a board, do we all need to sign, or is it just the
No,
chair,
it's just,
or just you?
I just signed.
Okay,
Why does it say in possible action on Northwest Water Satellite then?
well,
You can
We-
approve me to sign it, and then I will sign it.
That's what the possible action was.
Okay, well,
That's the possible
then
action.
it's-
You should probably do an approval there.
okay, I'll make a motion for you to sign the Northwest Satellite Management Contract for us and Allyn County Water System.
Do I hear a second?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Okay, any other questions on old business? New business? Joe and Jessica Cedarland, welcome. We're here to do some talking. I don't really know where to begin. Travis, can you help with that, or do you want to, or would you like to do some proposals first? Because after.
Well, I suppose that have Jeff and Jessica down at the podium, let us know their concerns.
Joe,
Joe, oh, Joe and Jessica, I'm sorry. A lot of JCs. Yes.
so
got
Joe,
the
would you
floor.
like to go ahead, stand up at the podium if you would?
We're together, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
Thank you, interim Executive Director Merrill and the commissioners. We appreciate the opportunity to come tonight last minute and I'd go over kind of where we're at. And probably the best way to go over where we're at is to go back to where we started. And so we began our adventure in the historic plat of Allyn about in 2019. And began building then up on block 47. And things went really well. We had to work with Larry Capola here at the port, and he was the executive director at that time, and did the first group of houses. Everything went well. Wrote the check at port. Poured a check for $55,000, and we got our water connections. Everything went smoothly. And sold the first group of houses. The average sales price was between $350 and into the low 400s. So they were, nicely built, upper end starter homes. There was a good appetite for those houses. We had a lot of, enthusiasm, excitement about the project. We met Mr. Carey and worked with him in acquiring some of the Carey family lots and expanded our holdings in the plat of Allyn's. And between us and the Carey family, we do own most of the vacant lots in the plat of Allyn, and so we have a large investment. It's an important project to us and our investors and our lenders, and so we have had a very challenging season in the home building business since the COVID-19 pandemic. Things have been extremely challenging. Between 2019 and 2021, we saw the average price of the homes we were building jump in cost over $100,000. So then the average price point went from being $350,000 to $420,000 to $450,000 to the high 500s, which is where we are today. So it is good for the community that we have a high valuation on the houses, but it's also challenging from the standpoint that with the higher interest rates and the high inflation that we're all facing, it is making absorption of these homes very difficult for buyers currently. And one of the problems the state of Washington has is, I just saw a statistic this week that we lead the nation in underbuilding, and currently we're about 147,000 homes behind where we should be. And
Really?
so one of the challenges that home builders, developers are facing is not only the high cost of land and the high cost of development and the high cost of construction, but the regulations and the high cost of permits, connection fees, and the time. And so all of those things are drastically increasing the cost of the finished product, the homes that we're building. And time decay is a huge factor, but also connection fees, because if we're trying to build an affordable 1,500 square foot home, three bedroom, 2 bath home for a family starting out in life, our connection fees make a big impact on that home's overall cost. And so if the connection fees are spread out over a house that's 2,500 or 3,000 square feet, they become a smaller percentage of the project. But when you're spreading those fees out over a smaller, lesser priced home, they impact percentage-wise a far greater degree. And so that's the challenge that we're faced with when we're paying, $12,000 for sewer connection fees. If the water fees when we started here were 57 and now they're over 7,000, that's a bigger impact. And then the uncertainty, of course, that we've all faced with, Executive Director Capola's passing and the uncertainty that threw the port into, and tenants that we had in homes that were not getting water bills, and then of course those coming back to us, and then uncertainty about port policy, because what was is not what is, and apparently it was not, the policy that the port had was not being enforced at the time that we started our working relationship with the Port of Allyn. And so basically what we're trying to do, to make a long story short, is that basically we have gone through, some difficult years, 2021, challenging with inflation. We had some delays with public works that really set us back in our production schedule. And then of course, beginning of 2022, the interest rate spiked. Buyers became very scarce. And so we had to scale back our construction operations drastically. Our lenders and investors became gun shy in the Plat of Allyn. The two water systems between the port and the Cary water system and the delays in getting that acquired were a factor in that. And then we had to lease up a majority of the homes that we had built because the buyers at that point could not absorb that inventory quick enough to allow us to sell and satisfy the construction lenders and the notes that were coming due on those homes. Yeah. And so we had to react to the market and adapt and adjust and jump through hoops and become very flexible to get through this period. And so now we're at a point where we are seeing green shoots. We're seeing some more optimism that rate cuts are coming. Buyers are becoming more optimistic, but we still have a major affordability problem, a major absorption problem with not enough inventory being absorbed quick enough. And so the best place for us to be from the studies we've done and the research is to go back to a smaller, lower priced home and offer incentives to buyers to get into those homes. So that's what we'd like to do. The other thing that we're working on is bringing another builder or two into the Plat to make up for some of the lost time that we've had over the last couple of years, not being able to build through that inventory as quickly as we'd have liked to. So we're in the process of that, so we'd like the port's cooperation with that new builder coming in to provide a clear pathway forward for him so that they understand what the port policy is, what the fees are, when they have to pay the fees. This is all going to be important to their feasibility study and their overall due diligence of the Plat of Allyn for future acquisitions as well. The other thing we'd like some clarity on is we have two parcels to the south of the Plat of Allyn off Wheelwright Street to the south that are currently zoned multifamily. And so we would like some guidance from the port on potential water letters for those two parcels, for future planning for those. What the port, if a buyer comes in wanting to do feasibility on those parcels, what the port's going to tell them. This is an important thing for us to know. And also, as we look to potentially begin vertical construction again and line extensions and future development in the Plat, policy from the port for what you guys want to see for if we're going to add water line to another 10 lots, what's required for that if we're going to get a water letter to go apply for a permit at Mason County, we would like to see something like what Public Works does, where we pay a fee to get adequacy letter, and then before we pick up our permit, we pay the balance on the actual permit itself, because the way our funding works is that we are not getting construction funds released until the permits are back. And so it becomes a burden financially to have to shell out upfront capital to secure water letters, and then have to go wait 6 to 8 weeks, maybe longer, for building and planning to sign off on the permit. You know, that ties up a lot of capital that could be moving projects forward. And then, and then once that permit's approved, then before we are allowed to pick up the permit, as in the case of Public Works, we go down to Public Works, we pay the fees, they give us a receipt, we take it down to the building and planning department, and then they release the permit. So it gives us a little bit of workability with not having to tie up so much funds. If, you know, if we were gonna build out 10 lots and apply for 10 permits at one time, under the current policy, we'd be writing a check, you know, for all 10 water letters, and that's a substantial amount of funds to tie up while we're waiting to get the money back from the lender. So that's an area we'd like some, we would like to see the port look at a policy adjustment to accommodate that, and to adapt a policy similar to Public Works. And then we would like some kind of, you know, pathway forward. So if we're extending a new line extension for another block of homes, 5, 10 homes, if the port wants water system drawings, if there's an extension fee for those lots, if that just is a one-time extension fee for that line extension, or does that extension fee apply to each individual lot in that block? Because currently it seems like we're not really sure what the policy is. So our understanding was it was a one-time fee for the extension, and then the water letter fees remained the same for the adequacy. So we're not even currently sure what the port water fees are. And that's the other thing. So if we could get, you know, some clarity on fees, line extension fees, documents required and inspections of the water lines as they're being constructed, that would be very helpful. We worked with Don in the past, and he came out and did in Northwest Water, and Don conducted the pressure test, and that seemed to go fine. So we didn't have any problem with the way that things have been in the past with the inspections and construction and testing. That all seemed to go smoothly. But it was a fairly loose policy, and also sign off of those extensions, having like a permit card or something where we can show, hey, we got sign off, or maybe where it pops up online as well, would be definitely beneficial, because people are asking that are interested in buying lots from us, did you get a sign off for the water extension? And we got an email, or, you know, Don came out and gave us a verbal approval, but something more formalized would be helpful.
Yeah.
So just some clarity on those types of things would be very helpful for us, and then being able to have some flexibility to work with us on the timing of water letter fees, because we have a tremendous ability to bring a lot of revenue into the port if we can get back up and going again, get another builder or two in the plat at the same time we're developing and doing some building. Then a large amount of revenue can be coming in for water connection fees, as well as, you know, water service as well. So it's a benefit to the port, benefit to the town of Allyn, and we want to work with the port. We want to work, closely with you guys. We want to have a good relationship. We're just looking for some clarity and a path forward, and then also in regards to back fees, that we've had some fees that did not get paid, and in the past, and there was some reason for that, and that was partly because of the overlap of the transition between water systems. We had a group of houses that were we were all anticipating we're going to switch over quicker to the port, and they did not move over. And so there's some back fees that need to be taken care of on those lots. And now the port owns the Cary water system, so that's something we need to work through with the port as well as a pathway forward. We are hoping that sales are going to come back online quicker this year and more revenue is going to be coming in, where we have a better handle on revenue and how quickly we can get those back fees caught up. Also, so that's something that we would like, okay, if because the conversation has come up, well, if you're going to do more, we need to get the back stuff, a plan together to deal with the back stuff. Right. And so we agree with that. I mean, we want a plan. We are closing a property up there this week, so the fees on that duplex are coming into the port when that closes. And ideally, the properties that we sell that haven't had fees paid, that would be the ideal plan for us at this point. Just be to, as they sell, pay the fees. The ones that are rentals and may not sell for a while, we may need to address in another plan. But we would like to discuss it and work with you guys to address those fees. With Larry, there was no set plan for how the fees were going to be billed, so he did not bill us for the fees until the meters were set, which we liked. And if you guys want to go for that again, we'd be very happy about that plan. But so that was for a developer, that's the ideal, because we get the water letter, we get the permit, we get under construction, we call when we're ready for the water to be hooked up to the house, we call for the meter to be set, and we pay the fees. So we thought that was a fair system. I think Larry was trying to encourage building and developing in the Platte, seeing that as a future revenue stream for the port, and so he was willing to extend that to us to get us to keep building and working in the Platte. And so I think that was it was helpful for us getting started in the project, because it was pioneer developing. We were taking on a new development and an existing Platte that had a patchwork of utilities. There was a lot of risk involved, and so and there still is a lot of variable and unknowns in the Platte of Allyn, and so having some flexibility and working with understanding our position as a developer. There's a lot of developers today they won't touch the Platte of Allyn because there's just too much uncertainty, too many patchworks of utilities, paving has to be extended. It's infill development, and so they just want to go do a new Platte, develop it up, and put in the roads and the sewer and the storm, and they know it's set fee per lot, and there's a lot less unknowns, and so that's where we like to see some kind of help from the port with understanding our situation with what we're trying to deal with. That would really benefit us and our operation and moving forward, and so we can succeed and then help in our success. The revenues coming back into the port quicker as we build through the Platte and new customers are coming online, and it's a benefit to all of us. So that's basically what we are here tonight to talk about, and I don't know your policy on how quickly you review these comments from meetings like this and get back to us, but maybe that's something you can share a little bit about what you think the time frame of formulating a policy to deal with this, and the ability to adjust current policy to maybe accommodate a little bit more of what we need to be successful in the Platte.
Well, with our work session, that might be a good opportunity.
Yeah.
Because, thank you for taking the time to propose, what you wanted to say, and some of these policy changes.
I have some questions.
Sure, please.
If you may.
He has questions, right?
So you mentioned a one-time fee for the line extension. Is that something that you had paid previously?
I was confused.
You said that there was a one-time fee for line extension
When we
beyond the connection fees.
So I was confused when we got the last bill, escrow sent us the bill to review for the property that's closing this week up there. And so there was a line extension fee for both units on that bill.
Correct.
And so I thought the line extension fee was just a one-time fee when we did a line extension, however many lots that were done in that extension were included.
So all the way back to 2019, we've never collected a line extension fee from you for any of the properties you built. It was never billed to you.
And I don't
Sounds like
recall if
you
there
got a
actually
pretty
was
good
a
deal
line
there.
extension fee that was even in place. I knew from our previous conversation, you had mentioned a line extension fee.
Sure, as it is part of the policy.
Yeah, and so I didn't know if that was a
Did you get
one-time
a
fee for the extension.
chance to see Form 2024-DS01 that I sent you and read through the 3-page form that
Okay,
simplifies and identifies the fees?
I think we're on the wrong, I'm gonna take over from here.
Okay.
Executive Director. So I think we're on the wrong trajectory here. I think Joe and Jessica are here to look for resolve. And what that looks like is gonna be more complicated than just doing the Q&A back and forth and identifying or suggesting that you should have done this and we need this from you. I would like to ask you to propose to us, I mean, it's pretty clear to me, so like, what are the things you're asking for is you want us to continue to work with you. Amen. I'm all for that personally. I think what you're bringing to the community and the risk that you're taking, we should be working with you as an enterprise. And I would like, I don't want to put it all on the table now, but I'd like to see a proposal. What are the back fees that you're saying that you owe? You say the extension fees, can you clarify what that, so when you get a one line, you get 10 lines on, you pay a fee for 10 lines, is that what you were saying? For one line you could put 10 homes on, is that what you meant?
Well, when Larry was direct, there was no extension fees.
Okay.
And so, in a discussion with Travis, that came up is that there was an extension fee, and I thought it was just a one-time review fee for a review of the extension. That's what I was thinking that it was. And when I saw the final bill for for the last house, when I saw there was an extension fee for each unit on there, I was that increased the cost of the actual connection fee by $750 for each
So
unit.
we have some back fees you owe, correct? Okay, and then you're right now what I'm seeing out in the community is you're putting up stuff for lease because it's not moving, basically. Is that correct?
Right.
So, and I understand that. So I mean, we need to work with this situation.
And I don't want to be property manager for 36 units.
Right? I know, I get that. So just to appreciate very much, I've been waiting for the opportunity to hear from both of you about where you're at, what your take is on like a little bit of the short version of how you got from 2019 to where you're at now, and what we need to do to move forward. I'd like to see something in writing for us to do in the workshop.
Well, yeah, definitely. That's why I'd like to do the workshop too, because, you know, the circumstances are pretty unique. It's not like you've all been just trying to get out of
No.
stuff. And with the circumstances with Larry, you know, it was pretty rough. We didn't know that he had some major challenges. So,
Right.
I do also. I'm with you, John,
Okay,
too.
so I'd like to see the exact monies that are back paid put in one document for us to sit down in the workshop. Two is what the public works adequacy letter should look like or does look like in helping builders like yourself move forward until the lending comes in, right? And then another thing is whatever proposed to us what that money's looks like for the back fees while we try to support and help you move forward at the same time. Get something that we can look at and say, I like this, it's a win-win. And then, because the rest of it I get.
Yeah, we, if Aaron didn't have so much on task for this week and the meeting, we would have had all those buildings ready.
That's okay.
So they should be ready.
So by the
next week.
23rd, when we sit down on that
Sure,
Thursday
they
afternoon,
will be ready.
with input from you, Jessica and Joe, get on the phone, and this isn't about beating each other up. This is about moving forward and figuring out where we're at, we don't need to know why we're at. We just need to know where we're at
And how to get
and how to
Yeah.
move forward. It doesn't
Yeah, how to
matter
move
anymore.
And we
forward.
can come back down this week if you want to
Right.
talk and meet and just,
So
Well,
lay it
we have
out,
to meet at a
lay it
meeting,
out
so
for Travis.
23rd is when
Okay,
they
the
schedule the next meeting.
Okay, lay it out for us.
okay.
And, but also it needs, and I know that Jeff has been, they've been tremendously helpful as far as what things should look like, as
Yeah.
a port with the water system and everything else like that. He'll be a big help, and even asking the right questions, Travis, okay? To Joe and Jessica,
Yeah, no, I've got plenty of questions.
all right?
Yeah, and we have to be whole too, I think that's the other issue, but
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
doing a good job. I mean, you're doing a benefit for the community.
We need to
so,
collect, but at
yeah.
the same time,
Understand all of it.
Yeah.
you can't get blood from a turnip, so we'll just work forward,
Yeah.
move forward,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
yeah.
And would you email us, what you have for us now?
Yeah, as soon as we have it completely worked up, it's partially worked up, it's
I just
just,
need what he was just stating, like the needs that he's having for questions from us.
Yeah.
What he'd like to see from back to you.
those will be.
Yeah, those are the,
Yeah, for the workshop.
yes,
Yeah,
all that information.
we're on the same sheet.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It'll be a little while before I prepare the briefing,
Okay.
because there's a lot of other things that have to happen here in the board.
Yeah.
But that will be available before the 23rd.
Okay.
Great, that'd be great.
Jeff, you had a comment?
Oh, yeah. So how do you deal with your closing this week?
With the closing?
Yeah, because you have a rate structure.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I haven't really, we haven't really talked about that, because I haven't gotten
So
all
I
the
know you
details,
have a
but,
current item that has to be resolved in 5 days.
Which I
Which-
Their house.
Oh, yeah, no, it said that, that's still,
So what rate are we gonna charge them?
Can you,
Oh, with
bring me
the-
up to
with this
speed on
new-
this
okay,
conversation?
so, let me,
Oh, is that in reference to the rate that we're talking about later on, whether we got to increase or not?
the new rates.
I didn't know we had a
No,
front
this
issue.
has to do with the sale of their house and the rates that they're being charged on the sale.
Okay.
Okay, you did bring that up.
So
You're
they're-
getting ready to
So
close.
the port is charging the rates that are in the policy currently, if I understand it correctly.
Correct, yes, that's what was
They're
currently
asking
billed.
for something. Is this included or is this separate?
I don't know. Can you
Because
guys help me
if
out
you-
here?
If you're gonna include it, then you gotta wrap it up in the next couple days here.
So, you're saying that we need to come up with a rate for
See, here's the problem.
a new rate.
The problem is you have policies, okay?
Yeah.
Forgetting the parties for a moment. You're a public agency, you're gonna have a problem if you set one set of rates for this party A, and you have another party for, in the case of kids have housing.
Yeah, at this point, I would not recommend anything other than what has already been submitted because it is policy.
Yeah,
On any,
Okay.
on discussing the rest of their billing in a workshop scenario on the 23rd, you could address other
Right.
considerations.
so that's,
But you can't make any decisions
that's
there
what
because
threw
it's
me
just a
off
workshop.
here. Because
Just
we
talking
should,
about it.
we shouldn't be making any big adjustments right now because we have a small window of 5 days, you're saying?
No, but I'm saying they were requesting something that has something pending right this moment. And if you're saying, all I'm saying is, nobody's clarifying what they're asking to what you're
Correct.
doing.
Right.
And-
Well, so I guess
and-
that's
and
where,
So they're gonna get one impression, you're gonna get another impression, and it's not cool either way.
well, I wasn't aware that they were having the closing right now,
in
that you
5
needed
days.
some kind of dollar amount right now.
Well,
Is
this-
that
Closes on
correct?
the 10th.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So
Sorry.
that particular billing, the water availability letters were issued prior to 2022. So the old hookup fee of $47.50 was charged, not the $52.50.
Okay,
So it's $500 less. And there's two hookup fees because there was two water availability letters issued, being that it was a duplex.
So since then, we've had, the 47.50 has been the last amount that we have charged, correct? We've not charged more than that since then? I'm confused, man. You're gonna have to help me out here. 'Cause
Well,
I can't make decisions and,
Here's the thing, I don't have any problem with their request, I'm not saying yea or nay as a citizen, okay?
yeah,
what I'm having a problem with is the port sets policy. And the problem is, you need to take input from them, but you need to understand your policies. And this is what got us sideways with Larry. And with Larry's actions or inactions, and how he worked with Zero In Homes, almost did the port in, financially. So as a taxpayer, I'm a little concerned about how this is approached.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why the billing was
Well,
prepared.
here's
at
my
full
frustration.
policy.
This is my frustrations. I'm gonna get out there. So I'm figuring 23rd, we have a workshop. We need to work through these kinds of issues. Now we're saying in 5 days, I didn't know that. I mean, you were talking about, I get that, but I didn't realize we were on the time.
But I'm-
Yeah, I don't think we can do anything at this point to change what's taking place in 4 days.
I don't either.
We can
That's
work
fine.
on what we do in the future
That's fine.
and redo our policy. But I
yes.
don't think we can go
But
backwards.
nobody was asking the questions,
Well, I'd like to
and
know.
they're gonna get the wrong impression.
Yeah,
What's-
well, it's because I wasn't aware that, I
That's
didn't
fine.
have all the information
Okay.
for myself. It was probably told to me, but did I remember? No.
So in 5 days, you're closing on a place, and then we get $4,700. Is that basically what we're talking about?
No, it's considerably more.
It's $7,094 per connection home.
What's that?
It's a duplex.
It's a
Okay.
duplex, so it runs out to be about a little over 14,000.
Well, I'm looking forward to that.
That's not what they're like.
I know.
Of course, none of that charge is
But I
outside
don't
of the
think
current
I
water
don't think
policy.
it's fair right now to change it at the moment. I just.
Yeah. What did you say?
None of that is outside our current water policy.
Right.
That is literally billed to the water policy.
So until we change policy, which we need to start looking at doing, we need to stick with the policy we have right now.
Well, I understand that.
That's fair, I just,
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we just
Do you understand that?
want to clarify so everybody's
Yeah,
on the same
We
boat.
understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just letting you know we have a closing at
Okay.
on the 10th. We
Okay.
understand what you're saying. We're
Okay.
asking for a request to look at it from here on out.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Talking about that.
Yeah, because moving from that is,
We're not asking for a BOGO unless you feel like giving it. but-
and moving ahead from that, it's like, that's why you brought up the public works, you know,
Yes.
for, you know, and that's why you
For
brought up.
future work,
In order to move through your inventory, you might bring in other contractors. And
yes.
you're trying to find a path to moving forward in a better,
Yeah.
healthier way, and we need to make adjustments in our policy, but until then, we're
Yeah.
not. We're gonna have a workshop, and we're gonna think through this and not make decisions on the fly. And thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
And we're not asking to make it right now, very second. Like,
Okay.
we understand and
Yeah.
respect the way you guys do
Yeah,
the order.
no, I need your
Well,
input.
that's kind of what I thought, but.
Yeah, no, we're not trying to
Yeah.
undercut in any way.
Yeah.
We're just
Alright.
telling you what we would like to see moving
I
forward.
want everybody to make
Yeah.
me smarter, so I can make
Yeah,
informed
me
decisions.
too,
you
yeah.
know, so.
Yeah,
Thank you. Okay.
yeah.
So at
and-
least the 23rd.
Yeah, and
You know,
that's,
if we need to do special meetings so we can make any adjustments, if we're, you know, well-versed enough or whatever, but we'll at least listen and see what we can do.
I'll learn Joe's languages and Jeff's language, and then we'll know what we're all doing here. So, all right.
Thank you.
yes.
Okay.
Do you have anything else for us before we sit down?
I don't think so.
Okay, thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time, you
Thank
guys.
you.
Thanks for
guys.
taking
Very
time.
much.
Look forward to the next time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
super excited.
Okay, thank you, folks, I appreciate that. Authorization of marine floats, Bellingham Marine and waterfront construction. So we just need to approve,
Just to approve
The-
that these three companies can
Can
actually move forward with a
make-
proposal.
I'm still
Make
trying to
bids.
recover from that, but.
I think it's a good idea, so.
do you need an actual,
Just
motion?
approval by the board, just say,
Okay.
I approve.
Do all of you approve
Well,
to be able to get bids from these three entities?
That gives us more of an option than just one company.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, my
You have
my brain was
authorization.
trying to go from where I was to now. Okay,
Okay.
so of course, that makes
Okay.
sense.
All right, so that's done. And we're okay with the Instagram account? We were all okay with that? We all
Yep.
approve of that?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, yeah, sort of.
Sort of? You have reservations?
Yeah, the social media just kills me.
Yeah, I
so-
know.
Right, so how are we protected, I mean, from,
So what we
Explain
do,
it to
yeah,
me.
what we do with these is that when we make a post, we turn the comments off.
okay,
So they can't make comments on it, but it can be shared to other accounts.
okay.
And once it's shared to another account, we have no control over the comments.
What kind of
that they put
information
on
we
it.
putting on there?
Therefore, we're not required
Oh,
Justine is actually,
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I
More
did the
knowledgeable.
research for this.
Okay.
Basically, the Instagram account, we can link to our Facebook account, so it won't be a completely new account.
Okay.
We'd post stuff like, hey, we're having an emergency closing of the building, but you'd be posting a lot of pictures.
Okay.
A lot of pictures of the port, of the view,
Okay.
whatever you want to post. Basically, what it is for is,
Can we just be really careful how we do that, even though?
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and the idea is.
Very
is
selective, very careful.
she always comes to me before she makes a post and says, this is what.
yes.
And if you
would
ever
be nice
have
to
any,
post. Or I ask her, please post pictures of the gazebo, remind people that we've got it
All right.
available for weddings, stuff like that.
okay,
And it's a very limited, like, we can only post like 150 characters for a caption, basically. You can turn off all comments,
all right.
except for the same exact way we do for our Instagram account, or our Facebook account.
We're not using it to publish policy or
No.
opinions or,
No.
It's just to keep people informed about our beautiful park
okay.
And
and the opportunities.
So we have a policy in place that's clear about what we can and can't do. We need to have one. It could be simple
I'll
as,
just have to look into it. I
As a
think
vision,
we do
mission.
have a social media resolution, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'd
I
like to
think we
see it.
do.
Yeah, we do.
we do have a social
Okay.
media
But I can't
resolution. I
remember.
can bring it to Travis
Yeah.
at the next.
Look at that, the workshop.
I just want it tight and
Yeah.
simple, that's all. But
Okay.
I'm good with it. So-
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because I noticed when he was going through this report, that we can't do Twitter.
Well, we could do Twitter. It was already one on the as an option. It's just none of us have got any real working experience with it, and it's all text.
Yeah, no pictures and we want.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
that
it's
makes
just
sense. Okay.
it's not a good fit for the port, essentially. You can do it. I think you can do pictures on it.
You can do pictures, but most people on Twitter are text-based.
All right. Facebook, Instagram.
The media man.
Yeah. Okay.
At least what I see from Twitter
Okay.
is mostly been text-based.
Okay.
So,
All right.
and I don't have much experience with Twitter, but I do have with Instagram.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Justine. So we're all good with Instagram, correct?
Never even seen it,
Okay.
but sure. But as long as we're using it appropriately, that's all I care about.
It's mostly like advertising, really.
Yeah,
That's,
that's really
Okay.
Just-
the gist of wanting to use it.
Okay.
yeah. Free advertising.
Okay.
Okay, next is Mason County Environmental Health Conservation District Outreach Opportunity. Would you like to talk about that one?
So I provided you the email. It's basically the North Bay water quality, they want to do a North Bay water quality presentation here at the port. It's the Mason County Environmental Health Conservation District. They're looking for a place for a venue for doing a couple hours in the evening on a weekday,
Oh, yes.
which doesn't really take away from any of our money-making opportunities. The gazebo isn't really rented on weekday afternoons.
Have no problem with that. I think that would be a good,
It would
PR
be, yeah,
and
it would be
good-
something that we would plaster on our Facebook and Instagram, you know, hey, this is coming up, come and join us, learn about water.
is that something that we need to host? Or are they
We
going to
just
host it?
provide the spot and
Okay.
we document the experience.
Okay,
That's it.
I think that would be a good opportunity. Okay, you guys all right with that?
Yeah.
Mike?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Okay, moving on. Port of Allen Water Policy Fee Schedule. And we had talked about that a little bit.
Yep,
Yeah.
I did touch on that. It's already baked into the water policy, but it had not been changed by the previous administration since the 2022 rate. If we don't adopt it, then we will have to notify the drinking water folks, and make sure we're still eligible for the loan that they've already awarded us.
I know that kind of put us up against the wall, really, because if we don't approve it, then we may not get the money that we desperately need, so.
Well, we've already gotten.
So
So it's a matter of me writing a very, a letter to go with our billings to
Okay.
explain why the rate went up.
I hate to do that, but
I know.
you know, how else?
What-
Yeah,
You already agreed to do the rate.
Yeah.
Well, I-
We need to do it.
And the other part of the problem is that a whole bunch of things are in motion, grant-wise, budget-wise. Personally, I personally want to work at reducing the rates, but you can't do that until we work through these
I know.
correct.
issues.
They've already saved considerable money by it not being raised the last year. So
That's true.
they got a deal, essentially, by it not being raised.
Do you need a motion?
No, just approval to enact the water policy.
Okay,
Enact the water policy.
so approved?
Yeah, approved.
Yeah,
Okay.
You
it's
know,
mostly just to make you aware.
So I like
Okay.
what Jeff's saying, because right now, we need, I'm reading through this, but we need to move forward with what we know we needed to do, and then we can adjust accordingly coming out of 2024 and 2025, whatever that looks like.
I mean, unfortunately, right now, everything's going.
Yeah, it's,
So it's just.
well, it's, yeah, I'm good with this, so.
Okay.
Let's do this.
All right. Okay, next is action on the secretary position on the Port of Allyn. So I know I'm chair, you were vice chair. I think we get to vote you in as secretary, Mike. So, do we need a motion?
You do need a motion for that.
Do I hear a motion
I'll
to?
make a motion to make Michael Curtin the secretary.
Well, okay, I can second that one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Welcome.
You do have to say aye, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yay or nay? Come on.
Yeah,
Alright.
aye.
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't have to, but you did. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
Okay, the housing, Kitsap housing billing.
And we covered that essentially when we went over the water vouchers.
Okay,
You already approved that.
and Endura schedule updates, I think you discussed that already.
Yes, unless you saw anything that needed further attention, I will
No.
just continue to go over it and make sure it's tight and proper.
Yep, I'm good with that. The SEDS list,
That will require a motion. Yes, Jeff.
oh, okay,
Jeff Carey, Belfair. I would recommend not removing the booster because we don't know yet what the value is. You know, in other words, this water system, you remember where the water system, the well or whatever was on the SEDS list?
oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
And I'm saying you've talked about removing it. And because we already know we have because of the original plan for the booster station wasn't,
Why, may I,
Yeah.
why don't I just change it to a booster pumping station rather than well replacement? Because we never,
fair.
yeah.
I,
just change the
all I'm just
terminology.
saying is, you have this loan you're going after, and if it needs to be on the list. I don't think you can take it off until it's actually consummated, you know, it's totally done. As far
Well, that's
as,
a good point, because you're right, because it won't close, it'll be
yeah, I mean, take it off.
after, yeah, after May.
The other part is because what was originally designed wasn't financial, at least in my opinion, financially supportable by the port and the development that was occurring on the hill, that we don't know, I mean, I presented a plan, but that doesn't mean it'll be accepted, doesn't mean it doesn't have holes in it. You know, it's my best effort at it, but I'm just concerned that you're getting squeezed on your numbers again. And after spending my late January and most of my February working your budgets and reworking them after we found out where we were, yeah, I'd keep it on.
Probably just change the verbiage then, instead of well replacement.
That's fine.
just-
All I'm
Does
just
that
saying
sound
is,
Good, yeah, good
don't,
point,
don't remove the fully until this whole thing is
yeah, good
done.
point.
And I don't even know from the standpoint, the other two lots, that, you know, they're part of our
Mm-hmm.
transaction, whether you'd want to remove them yet either until those are actually, because I mean, yes, the funds are there, but it's not done.
Correct,
So,
not closed, yeah, okay,
okay, thank you.
thank you, Jeff. And again, I did mention the museum part component,
Yes,
if
the
we can
museum
add that.
component, which I'll look into it and see if it's just wrapped up under Oyster House,
Okay,
so.
all righty. Any other comments about Sed's list? No? Sea lions, oh boy. We should charge people for looking at them, right?
I have a couple ideas.
Okay,
One is, putting and I talked to some people about it, alternative float. See if we can get, something from, like, one of the oyster companies, they have an old float or something that we can put out in the ways out in the water. That way, and then put something that's an irritant of some sort, moving one of those blow-up things that, swings their arms,
Oh,
in
sure.
front of the buildings and stuff. Something that will freak them out and make it so they don't want to be there. And then another thing that ventures into another area is we need to discourage people from feeding the sea lions.
are they feeding them?
Probably, I haven't witnessed
What do
it,
they
but I
feed them?
wouldn't doubt it.
Fish.
Yeah, I mean, if they're here and they're just here, there's a reason why, other than just our nice pier.
Well, I can
Because-
tell you right now, putting a float out there is just gonna, there's a lot of them that don't make it up on the pier, okay? It's usually the big mama and papas that make it up there and the little ones don't. But you just give them more platform, they'll take it up, trust me. I've spent decades working on tugboats and they'll just jump on anything from a submarine to a float to, you name it, they're gonna get up there. So that's just putting something else out there for them to do, it's not gonna work.
But would it deter them from getting on the one
I don't
that
know what was
counts?
the term,
I'm sure
no
if
idea.
a float scenario would require checking with
Right.
ecology and with,
sealion.com.
just to make sure that we don't need permits to put a float out.
Okay,
I don't know, that's just an investigation across a broad investigation as to what you can do, I don't even know.
Didn't Randy order some kind of,
He mentioned a vibration
Everything,
device that he
yeah,
had
and
ordered.
rock salt.
Haven't heard anything back from him.
okay,
And then there's that irritant powder that is
Yeah.
available. I talked to a few ports at the all ports, but I didn't have a whole lot of feedback. They didn't have a lot of suggestions, mostly because most of their docks have got people on them all the time. They've got their marinas with boats there all the time. And they just don't seem to inundate those areas that are, frequented by people so often.
Have you called around to the other marinas?
yeah,
Yeah, that's what I mentioned, I was talking to all ports.
I Googled it, you don't wanna do it, it says fences, noisemakers, or relatively gentle methods such as paintballs or water jets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've done paintballs.
okay.
So that's what they say on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, it's just, there's,
Well, I like the guy with,
there's gotta be a unique business out there to, because it seems like there's something for every rodent out there, but not for sea lions.
My kids have volunteered
Exterminators.
to do the paintballing.
there you go.
Said my kids have volunteered to do the
Yeah,
paintballing. And you can get probably half the high school out there willing to volunteer.
Did you call around, Travis, to other marinas that are?
I talked to them at the Kitsap Ports meeting.
They say the
And-
same thing?
They just don't have a huge problem with the sea lions because most of them have people down on their docks all the time,
Yeah,
liveaboards and such.
Oh, that's a good point.
And then the orcas are constantly in movement around their areas. So the sea lions don't want to hang out where the orcas are in transit all the time. They're not in transit down at this far end of the bay.
no, that's true.
They only come down every so often. And that's part of our issue there. Blasting horns are another thing that can be done, but, you risk, scaring somebody into the water when it goes off randomly. We have come up with the idea of protecting the utilities with cages and barriers and then doing nothing.
It's costing us a fortune.
Yeah, it's an expensive scenario.
Could that be part of our, repairs of the pier? Can it be used, part of the money used for that? For that go towards
I
that?
wouldn't say it
Yeah.
would be impossible. We could explore those options as our bids come in I did talk to them about the possibility of creating two bids so that we had one with the sea lion barriers and the stanchions repaired as part of the bid, so that there was options for both,
Yeah,
depending on how much it's going to cost for all the other repairs.
Did they come back? If I went down with you that one time.
Yes, that was, they came back a week later with their actual hands-on guy, and he took lots and lots of measurements. And then they called back a week later and said, oh, we forgot, you need the board to approve us to do the bid before we'll do the work of giving you the bid. And it's just a policy in their company because they've done work for probably a director in the past, and the board never said it was okay.
I don't wanna waste our time either, but we
Sure.
do need to find a direction, so. Do we need a motion on that right now?
We already did.
Yeah, we did
I
already.
mean, we didn't do a
We gave
motion, we just did
approval.
approval.
Okay, sorry.
Okay,
Other than that, I mean, there's just a variety of options there. If you'd like me to pursue any of these or any other ideas, let me know and I will, work towards those.
well, keep investigating.
Yeah,
None in particular here, though, as,
Well, I don't know, I mean, because I thought about the float too, but you're the one who's had
the
experience.
float
in
idea
that.
out there?
Yeah, way out
It's
there.
not gonna work.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Because they won't get on it, they'll get on
Yeah,
whatever they.
Not to
agree-
mention
I
the
agree with
tribal,
John on that one,
think
to be
about
honest.
all the hoops you'll have to
Yeah,
jump through with the
okay.
tribe, just even consider doing that.
because what
Okay.
you're doing is you're covering up, water space, and every time you do,
Yeah.
you gotta get permission,
Yeah,
and that's permits.
Okay,
yeah.
all right,
I'm surprised when we do the polar. no,
I could look
never
into
mind.
a programmable drone to go down there and harass them, and then go back to a charging perch.
yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, we've got to figure that out because it's costing us a lot, and I don't know the answer myself, so.
Okay, would you like to do, my, agenda doesn't say,
Oh, yes,
wait.
it's because it was added to the
it's the last one, okay, gotcha. Public comment? Jeff? Did you have another?
I have to go to the bathroom.
Okay, oh,
Jeff Carrybell, timeout.
shall we wait?
Sure,
Okay,
I can wait. Keep it legal. Keep the meeting legal.
We actually didn't discuss the extra old business item of the professional services contract. It was on the.
Oh, we did-
It was on the extra.
yeah, okay.
additional addendum.
What do we need discussing?
Now,
It was
we
in your-
have,
it was in your
samples,
packet.
yeah, we have samples of that. But is that something that, see if I can find it here, give me a second.
Yeah, it's in with the Northwest Water packet, it's very back. It looks like this.
Okay. Oh, I buried it.
Thank you.
Okay, Jeff,
Just,
You want
yeah.
to finish that?
Yeah, just one quick thing, the professional services contract that were added to the old business section there. This contract that was in your packet,
Oh,
it was spurred to find a solution for a professional services contract because of the Art Anderson contract, only stating that they would cover the amount spent, not the value of their liability.
okay,
If they designed the cantilever system and it completely failed and our oyster ass fell in the water, according to Endurus, they could literally claim they only owe us the $56,000 that we paid in services, according to that contract. So their suggestion was, well, we can take that out and you can provide us your own professional services contract.
Okay, so is this a sample
This is
and this
This
was
is the
something?
Kitsap County Professional Services contract with me
Okay.
removing all of the Kitsap County portions, which is all the highlighted portions you see. And it goes to the extent of 1 million, 2 million in coverage for liability, which is what they're required to hold even to do work for a municipality.
Okay,
So this, if they sign this contract, they would be on the hook for 1 million, 2 million,
okay.
rather than just their 56,000 that they're claiming on their own contract.
So is this something that we should have our lawyers look at?
It
or
is,
this-
it
okay,
is, it
so
is.
then
So-
why don't we try to engage
Yes,
them
I
to
think, I just
do
wanted to
that?
make you aware of it,
Okay.
that it's something, and that's why we haven't gone with the Art Anderson contract.
Okay. So, gentlemen, are you all on the same page?
Yeah.
I
Having
agree,
them-
because there's no
Hurry
way,
up and wait, and let's get this looked at.
yeah, there's no way.
Okay,
Okay.
I haven't gone through it yet.
Okay.
go to the order.
Okay, Jeff, thank you.
Jeff Carey, Belfair. Couple things.
Recording in progress.
Wonderful.
If the meeting goes over 2 hours, it stops.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you. A couple things. One is, looking at the water policies and different things the port has, do take some time to read them, because it'll make negotiating and working this out more comprehensively fair, is the best words I can put to it. Because you don't want to also give the appearance of favoritism.
or gifting,
Yeah.
I know.
And, you know, unfortunately, what Larry did as far as following policies, or not following policies, you know, gives it a lot of credence to that. I mean, you know, that's just the way it looks. The other thing is, there is a clause in there, and it's more at the beginning when you submit a permit, but there is, as I recall, a clause in the policy that allows for planning out over a 24-month payment program, but it has to be initiated at the start. And one would have to be careful with that, but, I mean, the bottom line is it's there. So,
Okay.
so, next totally different area. Thank you, after 6.5 months of just you guys involved, not to mention the 2 years prior to that. Finally getting one of the 2 steps done with the water system purchase. That was quite a journey. People ask me why it takes so long. I point out a couple different things, but I do want the board to keep in mind that there's a lot of arguing back and forth over 2 years. And if you notice, through all the corruption that was happening, you know, with the passing of Larry and then eventually passing of
Yeah.
Leanne, that in 2 weeks, we come to a number. It's true, it took the attorneys another 50 days to write it out, but we came to agreement. And yes, there's a number of extensions, a number of parties not doing their thing, i.e., you know, the surveyor or things like this to get the boundary line just. But almost everything is coming to as I promised, as to I stated, and hopefully it'll work out, you know, for the port. And like I've said earlier in the meeting, there are a few tests that, you know, that are still coming through.
Yeah.
We will be responsible for those. And, but at the same time, you know, manage that budget, because it's going to be your lifeline to get this thing, when I say this thing, this port balanced back out, because the best of my ability, unless you got some other numbers that are coming in from somewhere else, it's going to take several years.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, not to be the dead horse, but my concern with Sweetwater Park is it's a big version of the kayak park. And you know how you feel, the board feels about the kayak park. And so I just think it's a bigger version of that, one. And two, I will, I've presented the RCWs to you, to the board, and I can't see, if you ask yourself straight up any of the questions to it, the port should figure out a way to divest, of it somehow that works with, the granting source, RCO. Because I don't see, I don't want the port to get in, harm's way that way, but at the same time, long-term, based upon experience, and you and I have been here a few days, that it's probably, for getting the RCWs, it's probably better that eventually it gets over, to some entity like the county, and the county is going to need it, because the Belfair EIS requested 95, that they want to set aside 95 acres in the Belfair UGA, and they got minimal, and we really can't count Thiller or the salmon enhancement area because it's more of a regional thing. I mean, the county has regional, what they call, one's neighborhood, and I guess the other is like community. So it's like community of Belfair, then there's like a neighborhood, and there's like regional. And, most of that acreage they need in community and neighborhood parks. I don't agree that that's the total that they should have, and, I've said so in PAC meetings, but the bottom line is they don't have hardly any to begin with at this point, and that's one project. And I'm not against not keeping it as a park. I just think it needs to get to the right organization. And, if you guys want to go lobby down at the county or the state and get the RCW changed, fine, more power to you. But I think as a port, we should, I'm not saying you don't follow the rules. What I'm really saying is when the rules are created, try to go in and not try to figure out around them. I mean, I think that's how we got sideways in our budgeting over the last 5 years, is that we didn't do anything out of bounds, but we always kept expanding. And then we missed this and we missed that. And in hindsight, looking back, in which we'll work through it, there's a number of, these are, like, for example, paying back the IDD fund. I mean, that has to occur at some point. It cannot, and I'll state this, it cannot occur this year. You need to work through what you're going through and then, see where we are next year. But I think you can begin next year, but just don't touch it this year. Between the bond you have to pay off or pay towards and insurance and the different things, your hands are full. And the other thing is I briefly looked at this report that was presented, and it's going to need some work. This one that I just handed the
Oh, yes, okay.
the income expense budget analysis. It's going to need, and I'm happy to help Aaron, help Travis get this on track, because in the end, that's going to get you to where the board can better manage, know where you are to the budget. Because as a taxpayer, I don't know where you are. And I'm into the numbers, as you know. So, so it just, I know it can be done. It just needs to be done, and because there's just no way, like just that water expense alone with Northwest Water, it's divvied up in a number of ways. But I think one's starting to get out of too high that we need to look at. But the rest, I don't know. So more to say, but leave it at that, and I'll see you at your next meeting.
Okay.
Again, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Well, I do have one thing to add. Are we ready to,
Well, if you're ready to go to the order, more public comment.
no more public comment? John, can you hand me that right there? This is kind of for the good of the order.
It is.
And the board had agreed to make a presentation to Jeff Carey.
Yeah.
That's kind of oxymoron.
Jeff, we do want to thank you, because with all the stuff that you've done, the time that you put in for the budgeting when we were in crisis, thank you for stepping up and helping us. And thank you for the diligent work. And even though it's been long and laborious and painful, and yes, we have gotten through this. And I want to thank you and Debbie for hanging in there with us and all the work that you've done to help us with the budgeting and the input and the guidance that you've given us and the willingness to work together. You know, you and I have gone back a long time.
Right.
We've been a lot of water under the bridge and, you know, yeah. But here we are today. And I want to present this to you on behalf of the Port of Allyn Board and the staff. So thank you, Jeff. Jeff
you.
Carey.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you. And this would not have been possible without, you know,
Yes,
interim director.
I know. And thank you, Travis,
He gets
too.
paid for it, though.
I know. I agree. There's a difference.
Good point.
So,
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you much.
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you, John. Anything else for the good of the order?
So, yeah, just real quick, so, on the 23rd, just, for the record, so, everything and anything you can get back from Joe and Jessica on that exchange, if you will, and some, to help you with that, navigate through that, to ask the right questions and put something together, and I'm hoping that you and Jeff can be talking, you know? And then on the budget issue, that's another very important thing. So I'd like for us to deal with the budget issue with those 15 and 20 categories,
for the
you
trial
know, that
balance
he
forecast.
suggested. And I, you know, I've known without really knowing, but I know there's something missing, and that is it right there for us to be able to know where we're at right now every month. You know, it's helpful everything we got from Aaron, but we can keep doing better. So
Yeah, great.
that's what I'd like to see at our next workshop on the 23rd.
Okay. Mike, do you have anything you want to add? No?
One more thing for the good of the order. Joe and Jessica, thank you very much for
Yes.
showing up today.
Thank you
for
taking time.
What I'm hoping to accomplish that day too is looking at the way Public Work does it to help you move forward. And yeah, we got closing coming up. We're going to get fees from you, but we have back pay to deal with, right? Back fees. So in the process of looking at the Public Works, I suspect you can guess that we're going to be looking at ways to also be able to accommodate getting some of that back pay starting to move our direction, in addition to making your efforts moving forward an easier way to go too at the same time, so we can be a win-win situation. So I didn't want you to think that we're not overlooking that at all, but that's where we're going. Okay. All right, that's it.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Jeff, Debbie.
It's not over yet.
No, I know, but it's getting closer. It's closer.
Well,
Okay.
it might be a year or two. It's going.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.